Hey guys, welcome back to Clockwork and Noodles for another breakdown of Vinland Saga Season 2, Episode 17. The episode that crippled me, my goodness. This was a very difficult episode, but again, it just proves why Vinland Saga is just such a beautiful story. It's just masterful at what it's doing. It knows when to gut punch you, and it knows how to do it. And there's loads of little bits during this episode that just cranked up the emotional damage right at the end. Even till last week, I was still considering that there might have been a good ending, but it wasn't actually until a few days ago where I was just discussing the anime with someone. They just dropped the bomb. Did you actually expect there to be a happy resolve to this? I don't think they were spoiling it. I do just think they were being serious how Vinland Saga doesn't really do good happy endings. There hasn't been a happy ending just yet. For some reason I was just expecting this to go down differently. Obviously it doesn't. I can even imagine that even right at the end that it's going to be a happy, but I'm imagining it to be at such a cost. I'm expecting it to be, I don't know, Thorfinn's got one leg or something. But thank you guys so much for tuning in once again. Welcome back to the Noodle Ball, guys. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. Do make sure you guys are subscribed. We are now 9 noodlings away from being 700. That is my goal for the midsummer now. You guys have done so well. I brought that forward a little bit because I said end of the year for 700, but you guys seem to be making that possibility more realistic for summer. Thank you guys so much for making that a possibility. There is now about a week to go before my midway review, and if you are new to the channel, how it generally works is top 3 OPs, EDs for the first half. I'm going to give you my top 3 anime and an honourable mention. It allows me to talk to everybody on the channels. It means I can talk to you and the Magus Bride guys together. We also get to prepare for Golden Kamui's return to the channel. We're going to welcome those guys back and we're going to discuss the season as a whole because it's been very interesting. Lots of stuff happens in the community, so it'll be a great chance to catch up and discuss that with you. So that's coming out in about a week, so make sure you guys don't miss it. Hit the bell or just make sure you are subscribed. Let's get into the breakdown because we get the answer to the question I was asking last week was, where is Snake from? He says, I'm from Miklagard, Turkey, Istanbul, so he is Turkish. I don't remember if I said Turkey, but I think I did, so someone's going to have to deep dive that back and see if I got that correct. It was just the curved blade giving it away. Let's discuss the fight before we talk about the emotional damage. The fight is absolutely perfect. It's just Mappa really showing off just how fluid they are. Everyone is talking about Hell's Paradise, which is airing. I still think people should be looking back at Vinland Saga because it is still Mappa. Nobody's looking in Vinland Saga's direction, which is just criminal by this point. It's just a shame because you are missing out on absolutely gorgeous moments like this. Now, the entire fight is beautifully composed. The massive disadvantage. Thorfinn doesn't have a weapon. Him even landing any blows on Snake, it speaks volumes, absolute volumes. I'd like to see this with him with a weapon because I'm just curious to who would win if they were more equally balanced. I don't think we're ever going to get that fight. I don't think Snake's dead either. I think he's just unconscious. I think it's going to take more to wipe him out than being strangled. I feel we're going to see Snake again next season if it happens, if Canute arrives. But I seem to think that the fight with Canute is probably going to be next season. We still do have 6 episodes to go. So I could be wrong. Let's talk about Snake. Fight stance is really, really cool. The blow to Snake initially, Thorfinn does land a blow, is really, really cool. Snake does state that in his head that he believes Thorfinn has been around monsters. Nothing's gone right for this man. He's seen literal monsters. In a sense, according to what Snake says at the end as well, it does feel like these two are very, very similar because Snake says that we have led disgusting lives. Nobody would care if we died. I feel the same for Thorfinn in a sense. I feel like that's a bit of a similar kind of connection going on there as well. Thorfinn taking the blow only really comes off as he rolls away. So I do think the blow to his face is lessened by the fact that he's actually retreating. So he takes less of the blade to the face than it could have been. So that could have been even worse. But they are both insane fighters. I really still want that backstory for Snake, whether it's just an OVA or whether these pages even exist. I don't know. I don't read the manga. If there's even Snake backstory in the manga, that would be interesting to know if that's going to come our way at any point, because I feel like he's a character who really has a story to tell and we're just probably not gonna get to find out that story. Fight stance starts to change. Snake starts to use stabbing motions very quickly. It allows him to fight even quicker, like he needed a power boost, but he gets a power boost, and it happens about halfway because he's trying to change up his technique because he realizes that the current technique not quite good enough. Thorfinn actually was staying par with him, but that's obviously when he sadly gets to take the switcheroony, which I didn't even realise. I completely forgot Gadir was even in the cart. Because they're fighting back characters, Unhide wasn't actually there during most of the fight. It felt like a very weak win. It didn't feel like he'd won by much, changed his position. He didn't best Thorfinn in power or anything. He just managed to get closer to the cart. Easy to forget that actually Thorfinn wasn't the target all along. The big old switcheroony forces Thorfinn to take very big rolls. I love the fact that a lot of Thorfinn's style is on the floor. You see him taking sweeps out with his legs, knocking him off balance, trying to get as many advantages as he can because he is unarmed. The fact he's unarmed though, it was inevitable that Snake was going to win, but my goodness, I want to see this fight again, just on even kill. I just completely forgot about Gadir, guys. I really did. For some reason though, wasn't expecting him to turn around and stab him. I just expected a happy ending, but then I'm like, wait, this is similar to Berserk. There's a reason why Vinland Saga keeps getting grouped together with Berserk. It's a sad anime. There's no happy ending. Of course he's going to turn around and stab him. This man has killed 5 of his friends, 5 people to him who he believes that nobody would care about because they've led such bad lives. Nobody remembers their names. The anime then pulling the rug even further by giving us a double twist. Wasn't expecting Gadir yet again to stand up and be able to choke out Snake. I wasn't expecting it. Snake clearly wasn't expecting it. Beastly powers. The fact that in the end, I think it all catches up to him eventually, but he's still able to go quite far and talk with those wounds. With all of the wounds that he's taken on, it's just absolutely impressive. Arnheid being the one to try and plead, bring Gadir back to his senses as well. It took me a while to realise why she'd lied to him though, because she says, you know, our son's waiting, and it gets him to let go, and obviously he comes back to his senses. She recognises he's dying. I didn't recognise it at first, but why would you tell a dying man that your son has died? It's better to let them die happy and believing everything's okay than adding to their worries, adding to their pain on their way out. She realises that this is probably it. Get the cart from Gramps MVP. He is the MVP of this anime for me, and I really hope that the MVP powers spread to next week's episode, because I'm not really feeling next week's episode. It feels bad. I think the storm clouds are literally rolling in for our main characters. He's dying. I don't know if they make it out the farm. I have a feeling she gets recaptured because we see them getting cornered at the end as the cart stops. Start talking about the emotional damage. The emotional damage is the last half, the last chunk switch of the colour palette. So much meaning, so much hidden symbology going on. There is a lot here, guys. There is so much with the way that it's set out. With Gadir is the alone in the cart, because again, you crossing over on your own. It's not Arnheid who is on her deathbed here, it's you. The switch of the colour palette to blue. Blue is cold. Gadir says, I feel cold to my core. Big old ringing of the bells going, this man is dying. This man is now about to experience the passing over. And the way that the anime does it is just hats off. If this episode doesn't make it into top 3s on those top 10 anime of this week, I would be so sad, because Vinland Saga's been absent from most of those top 10s. This episode is just beautiful. The way that the anime has portrayed crossing over, Arnheid spending her last minutes. The amount of emotional damage this episode does, the way it was just layering it all up. He starts to revert back to his younger self at better times, and he's in the cart on a straight road and it's going into the horizon, which looks bright. Obviously the whole don't go into the light type thing, and he is slowly going into the light. You can see all around him there are lines of slaves. Every single one of them looks like him, older self. But the young self doesn't recognise them. He'd only see these poor souls that God has abandoned, and you can see his back in the day, what he thought of slavery and what he thought it was like God's just abandoning people. I think he's got a bit more of a sympathetic stance than Snake had when considering old man Catil's plight, that it's just somebody who's had bad luck that separates you from becoming a slave or not. There's a lot of deep meaning here. The roads and journeys end. The moment the dandelion goes into his hand, in the UK, in Europe at the most, I don't know about the rest of the world, it means you can make a wish. A lot of people in the summer will find it very lucky if they catch a dandelion in your hand. You make a wish, you close your eyes, and then you release it onto the breeze, you blow, and it floats away and it carries your wish upon the wind. Thinking it means the same thing because we are technically in Europe, but I don't know if the writer knows the meaning of this. I get a feeling they do, because there's a lot of really nice moments which I think there's been research done. It would have been very nice if we see him blow it away. I think his wish was simply just to see his son again, because at the end his wish comes true and he's reunited in heaven, or at least the afterlife, with his son, his pride and joy, and we get to see his moments play back in this belief that as you're dying, your life flashes before your eyes. This is what I think all of this is. See Gadir's life play out. This is perhaps where the emotional damage started to rack up. The son and how happy he was when he was brought into the world. Gadir had made a very bad mistake, and I love the fact that even at the end, Gadir gets to see his mistake. You can see him reaching out, trying to stop himself from going. That was painful because he realised what actually got him done. You get to see the farming life, what it was like, back in his eyes. It's nice to see as well that he took a bit more of a shared burden. He was doing in a diaper of the kid and just seeing his son slowly growing up. Very sad that at the end he had to ask how old he was because it felt longer because I've been a slave for such a long time. And I guess the passage of time just means something completely different when you're enslaved and you have nothing to look forward to. The vision and seeing Gadir getting beaten as well, and he sees it happening, and that's what actually shocks him into the next little chunk. Such a nicely written piece. The fact that he's alone in the car is because obviously he's alone crossing over, and I think there's the whole we're all alone at the end or something. Everyone faces death on their own. Heavy episode that I guess makes you all think about mortality of things. Probably the moment I realised that Arnheid was providing a mercy before he died, that your son's alive, it's okay. Comfort, that last comfort she can do for a dying man is just to say, you know, your son's okay. You're going to see him again. He does. He crosses over. And whether she perhaps knows that he will see him again in the afterlife could also be a comfort to her to know that Gadir is now looking after their son in the afterlife. It's generally the people left behind who feel the effects of losing people. Arnheid's going to be even more traumatised. Feel terrible for her because I don't think it's going to end well for her either. I mean, maybe she'll reunite with him quite quickly because I don't think the teaser at the end of the episode was like promising good things. Final moments where Gadir sees himself in third person from Arnheid's point of view is just really heavy emotional damage because it's just the regret. And you see the panic on his eyes and then the door shuts because he realises that I should never have left. I was so happy. I had everything that I wanted and then greed took this away from us. Full circle. And the character comes full circle at the end. He says he's home and you get to see him getting so happy to see his son. Those are the emotional damage moments, him seeing his son and then hearing, I'm home. Welcome home gut punch right at the end when Arnheid answers. The moment as well when the rain. Water has been a big theme of this anime, this season in particular, with the first half OP being River. Even though I do absolutely love Survives to This Prophet, I do love River to pieces. There's been tons of water links and I think the anime's done that on purpose. Again, it shows research into what they've done. Arnheid's tears turn into a shower, an April shower, as we see him running to find his son on the swing. It looked like the son looked very sad, like he'd been quite lonely and he was on his own, and then he sees his dad, and that is the only small blessing of the episode, that they're finally reunited and the kid's now got a parent in the afterlife, which is nice because I guess he only saw the son until the age of 1 and then he vanished. It's got 5 years to catch up with the son. The piano music at this point was even more just emotional damage for me. I love piano in general. Deliver more emotional damage. This episode was painful, but it was very beautiful. And again, I'm just so sad for the people who are missing out on this episode because this episode was absolutely gorgeous. At the end, we just see Arnheid perhaps being recaptured. I think she's being recaptured. I don't know who she's being recaptured by because Snake's kind of knocked out, but maybe he had other men. Next week, Ketil is coming back. Leif Erikson is there. Because I've seen Thorfinn and Einar tied up, I'm a little bit panicked. There's a possibility Ketil's just going to flip his shit. He's going to be angry about what's happened, and I have a feeling he might double cross Leif and be like, nah, you're not getting Thorfinn because he needs to answer for what he's done. I hate that. I don't want you to do that. Ketil, please don't do that. Do you know that Canut's coming for you? Maybe you don't. Canute is on his way, guys. Let Einar and Thorfinn go. But I don't think that's going to be the case. Next week, we're going to find out the consequences of the actions. I don't think it's going to be great. I think Arnheid is going to be put to death, or Ketil's going to find out she's pregnant last minute and be like, oh no, I can't kill you because you're pregnant. Angry Ketil, I don't know. Angry Ketil noises. Canut's coming. So none of this really matters. If you do know, just stay quiet. Let me be wrong. I enjoy being wrong. And you guys can just muse in your own time at how wrong I am at predicting the plot coming our way next week. If it's in Berserk lines, it's just going to be emotional damage every episode. Berserk is king of hurting people. Thank you guys so much for tuning in regardless. I hope you guys are going to now recover. Go find something happy to watch. Tons of happy episodes floating around. Pick a good one. Go find something fun to watch. Maybe Yamada or something. That's another anime I'm really enjoying. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I will see you guys again next week. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye.